Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Department of A-Trade Consumer Protection, it's Lara Southern. Lara, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm good, Jeremy. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Thank you. I am doing wonderful. Glad to have you on the show here as we wrap up here 2020 and some good news hitting the airwaves this week in regards to the vaccine for COVID-19 being put out there and being administered. But that also has come with scam risks. We've talked about some of these on the show already, but glad you're here to break down a couple of these. Let's start in the trial part of this first. So avoiding vaccine trial imposter scams. What are you hearing out there?
So you're absolutely right, Jeremy. These vaccines and the vaccine trials are fertile ground for scammers, right? This is where people want information, people feel insecure, they're not sure what information is accurate, where there's misinformation, and that's where scammers like to come in because we're all out there searching for as much information as we can get. So we have to really be careful about imposters in this space. So there are vaccine trials still going on. As we know that there was vaccines have been launched, but let's first talk about the trials that are still out there. There are a lot of folks that are interested in being in trials, and we commend you for doing that. Obviously, that's a pretty invasive exercise. People are going to ask you for information about your medical history. They're going to ask you your gender, your ethnicity, your race, all kinds of information. So it's important that you know that it's a legitimate trial before you engage. So there are researchers recruiting people in Wisconsin. You should verify any research study before you decide to do it. And one simple way to verify a scam, Jeremy, is to just search on that trial or that research study in the internet with the word scam, review, or news, just to see if already this trial has been reported on negatively or positively. And you can do that with any kind of scam, frankly, and it's a really good idea to do, but certainly do it with these research studies. The other thing you can do if you want to volunteer for a trial is to go to the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the National Institutes for Health, NIH, we often call it. They have a COVID-19 prevention network site, and it has volunteer research database that can match you with a current or future study. So that's a really great way to figure out whether it's a legitimate study. And again, we sort of hammer this issue all the time. When you want to do something, when you want to donate or buy something or be involved in a research study, you need to do your research and you need to go to trusted sources of information. So the NIH would be one of those trusted sources of information. They have a website, clinicaltrials.gov. It has a database on it that has all of the legitimate trials, and you can go from there. But like I said at the beginning, these are invasive studies, and because they need to know what your medical history is when you're involved. So any study is going to ask you some basic questions about your age, your race, your gender, your ethnicity, and your medical history. But there are things that they're not going to ask you, Jeremy, and I bet you could fill in the blank here. They're not going to ask you for money. They're not going to ask you for your financial account numbers, and they're not going to ask you for your social security number. So if you're getting asked those questions, legitimate clinical trials won't be asking you for them. You should hang up and disengage and not get involved. Also, and finally, when it comes to these trials, don't pay to participate in a trial. Some of them will pay you and offer compensation, but you should never pay them to be part of a trial. So these are some of the basic ways you know whether or not it's a scam, whether it's legitimate. But again, just go to trusted resources of information to find out.
Yeah, some of the early notes that I had seen come out on both trials and vaccine is pay to get on the list. And that just blows me away that, you would hear something like that, but that right there should be a red flag for you.
That's right. So we know right now there are two vaccine manufacturers, Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna, that have submitted applications for the emergency use authorization with the FDA. As of today, the vaccine has already been given to one nurse in New York, as I understand it from the news this morning. So yeah, there are 2 vaccines that are out there, and we're going to start seeing more and more of them. I also understand there's about 65,000 vaccines that are supposed to come here to Wisconsin. But look, again, this is where scammers are going to just move in and try to get you, get your money, get your ID, your personal identifying information, and really try to prey on your vulnerabilities, because we all want to be safe. We all want to be free of this disease, and getting in line for the vaccines is going to be something that people want to do. But you can't get in line for a vaccine. There's no list that's being kept by a third party. You can't pay out of pocket to get put ahead of people. No one from the vaccine distribution site or healthcare payer or private insurance company will be calling you and asking you to sign up for your social security number or your credit card or your bank account. So these are ways in which we know people are out there, they're trying to scam you around these vaccines. So if you get a call or you get a text or an email or someone knocking at your door claiming to get you early access to the vaccine, it's a scam, and don't engage with them.
Yeah, I'm just was going through the NIH website here on those studies. There's 4,000, as of looking at this today, 4,195 studies on COVID-19, the actual studies happening. So when you are saying, there are studies out there, because you're thinking, well, how is there really imposter scams related to trials? There's a lot of trial stuff out there related to COVID-19. And I suspect a lot of this, as mentioned here, probably is coming from email, social media pop-ups, those sort of things. So it kind of goes back to some of the basic stuff we've talked about on this show over and over again. And, thinking before you click and really doing your homework is going to save you probably not only data of yourself getting out there, but even money being lost.
Right. I mean, there is a lot we don't know about COVID still. And even though a vaccine is rolling out, we're going to continue to see legitimate scientific studies happening. And so individuals that are willing to volunteer or participate in these studies, we should commend them. And it's an important aspect of scientific research to have people involved in these studies. That also means that you need to do your homework and make sure that you are not trying to do something good and then getting taken advantage of instead. Right, NIH, the National Institutes for Health, has a great website where you can find out information on these studies. And again, the website to go to is clinicaltrials.gov, and you can find out what is legitimate, what is not legitimate, to try to avoid yourself from being taken advantage of. But just go slowly. If it looks too good to be true, as we say, it probably is. If there's something fishy about it, certainly if they're asking you for money or information that you don't think they're entitled to do something like this, trust your gut. Don't engage.
Yeah, all great tips. Thank you so much for sharing. If people want to report any of these scams, where would you suggest that they do that?
That's right. So give us a call at 1-800-422-7128 if you hear about any of these scams. We like to follow. We want to know whether they're here in Wisconsin. You can also go to our website at datcp.wi.gov. You can file a complaint there, and you can also learn about other scams that are happening in our area and get some good fact sheets about how to protect yourself from fraud, identity theft, and other kinds of scams.
All right, thank you so much for your help on this and all year long. Thank you to you and the staff from DATCP for being on our show, helping us out. We really appreciate your time. We know it's precious, but we certainly enjoy getting the information out there for you, and just can't thank you enough for all your help this year.
Happy to do it. Thanks for having me, and have a happy holiday.
You as well. Like I said, check the website, DATCP. They've got the most and greatest information there for you when it's related to anything scams. And please report it. That's the only way we're going to find these fraudsters and solve these crazy cases. All right, we'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.